3.
Okay, this is building memory skills and enhancing relationships. We talked yesterday, we talked last week. How are we going to say it here?
A few minutes
We talked
ago.
early ago, yeah. We talked a few minutes ago about one type of memory. What type of memory technique did we use just in the last session?
Linking.
Linking, all right. In this session, we're going to talk about pegging. What do you think is the difficulty with linking? What's a memory difficulty with linking?
Let's find the transition. You know, making sure that one idea leads to the next.
Okay, sure.
Logical.
So we had to remember things in an exact order, right? So in the pegging system, we can remember things in various orders. Not as important that we remember exactly what order things are in. It's important that we remember what we're trying to remember. So we want to become familiar with some of the human relations principles by using this pegging system, and then identify some opportunities for improving business relationships. So we asked you to look at these words. I say that because if I were coming back in a session 2, I would say that. Let's just go over these rhyming words. 1 run, 2 zoo, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 house, 6 6, 7 heaven, 8 gate, 9 wine. Everybody do that with me. 1 run, 2 zoo, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 hive, 6 6, 7 heaven, 8 gate, 9 wine. Now, we're going to talk about concepts here and things to remember. We're also going to talk about what looks like a permanent peg number. Now that's kind of a silly term. Numbers are numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're always going to be the same. So it is a permanent number, and it goes with our pegging system, so a permanent peg number. The permanent peg word will always be the same. It'll always be 1 run, 2 zoo, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 hive, 6 6, 7 heaven, 8 gate, 9 wine. The picture will also be something that's permanent. So the permanent peg number, when I say 1, you say, I say 1, you say
Run.
run. Okay? So it's always the same. Permanent peg number, permanent peg word. The permanent peg picture is you at the finish line at Churchill Downs, and you're right on the railing. And as you see the horses coming around the final turn to the finish line, you're cheering and yelling and screaming. And the horse in the lead is your horse. The problem is this: your horse is running backwards. And in the saddle, instead of a jockey, is whatever item you want to remember. In this case, 3 C's. I use concentric C's. That means it looks like this. Three concentric C's sitting in the saddle and a horse running backwards. So, what do you think is the glue? Acme is the glue. Action, color, and me. I'm in the picture. In this case, I'm on the railing. I put action in it. I didn't put any color in it. I'll let you put the colors in it. In fact, I put enough exaggeration in it that should be plenty of glue for remembering the concept. In this case, the 3 C's. Whoops. 2.
Zoo.
Zoo. I'm walking between the monkey cages at the zoo. As I do, I don't need that anymore. As I do, the monkeys start throwing something at me. And in fact, they throw more and more, and they throw more. It's piling up on me. I can't even move because the monkey cages are just throwing stuff all over me between the 2 cages. And they're piled all over me. And they are whatever I want to remember as number 2. In this particular case, they're bouquets of roses. Beautiful roses. But they still have the thorns on them a little bit. In fact, they hurt a little bit when the monkeys keep throwing them at me. Number 3 is tree. Picture this huge Christmas tree like the one in front of the White House, or the one on Times Square, or even the one downtown Louisville, that big, huge Christmas tree. But it's bent all the way down toward me. Right at my feet is this huge wanted poster. Real thick and heavy wanted poster, pulling that tree down so it's bent toward me, and it says wanted. And it's got my name on it, wanted. Dick Bryan in my case, but it's your name on it when you're looking at it. I got to put me in the picture, right? Putting me in the picture. 4,
Door.
pushing through the revolving door downtown one of the big banks or a golf house. And I'm going through the revolving door, all of a sudden it sticks, it's stuck, and I'm pushing it this way and it won't go, and I go to the other side and push it that way and it won't go. And the reason it won't go is because whatever I remember is stuck all in that door. There's no way to push it because it's just jammed with whatever I want to remember. Today it's interest-bearing notes with your name on them for 17.5% interest with your name on them. Number 5. I've got the barn out behind our house, and behind the barn is a beehive. And I hear this noise in the beehive, and it's a funny noise. It's not just like the bees, so there's something strange. And I go back and look at the beehive, and as I start to look at it, it comes flying out of it and hitting me on the chest, or whatever I want to remember. It's whatever object I want to remember. Today, it's Cheshire Cats. Does everybody know what a Cheshire Cat is? Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland is a smile. In fact, the cat disappears, but the smile stays, and all of a sudden the smile disappears. And when he appears back again, the smile comes first. Cheshire Cat. 6. Sick. I'm laying in a semi-private room in a hospital, and the bed next to me, there's a big lump in the bed, and the nurse comes in with this big needle, the biggest, ugliest needle, and they pull back the cover and they jam this needle into this big name tag. It's got your name on it, and it's just, all yucky, gooey stuff coming all out in the name from this. Number 7. Heaven. Finally, there's the pearly gates, way up the steps to the pearly gates. And I start up those steps toward the pearly gates, and bouncing down at me is whatever I want to remember, and it's hitting me, it's knocking me back. I take 2 steps and it knocks me back 3, and I try to climb. And today it's these big headphones, not these little wimpy phones that you all wear today, but the big headphones. And they keep bouncing down as much as they can. I keep hitting me and knocking me backwards, okay? 8. Out in Oldham County, we get a train every 45 minutes. And so we're stuck at trains a lot. Well, every once in a while, people pull up, and here I am in my nice new car, a car I really love. And picture yourself in the car that you really love, the one you really want. And as you pull up under the gate comes down and it slams on the hood of your car. And hanging from that gate is whatever item you want to remember, and that's what keeps jamming in the hood of your car. Bounce, 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 bounce. In this case, it's a big microphone, not those wimpy little microphones they carry today, but the big KORN microphone just jamming down. And then 9, wine. Okay, wine, whereas sitting at an elegant dinner, beautiful crystal and plates, etc. And the sommelier comes out with this huge bottle of wine, bigger than a Magnum, a giant bottle of wine. And he goes to pour the wine into your wine glasses and crashes through whatever you want to remember, comes crashing through all of the plates and the crystal on the table. And they are little boxes, or crates actually, and they say import on them. You know how to import crate is boxes of wood? It says import on them, okay? And then I go back and I would review that with them. I'd have them give me the names, the numbers, and what the picture is, and so that they remember all of the things. Remember, I always say first that it's the item you want to remember, whatever the item is. And then I say tonight it's going to be, or today it's going to be this particular item. So, as we look at those items, we start to think, what might be a use of those particular items? And we said we were going to talk about the human relations principles, the first 9 specifically. Look in your book on page whatever it is. I don't know if you even have, do you have the first 9 listed?
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, there it is.
Page 114.
Page 114. And you tell me, what's the first principle?
Don't criticize, condemn, or
All right, so if you looked in the saddle, what did you see in the saddle?
Concentric C's.
3 concentric C's. Do you think it could stand for don't criticize, condemn, or complain? So if I were trying to get in a conversation with somebody, if I were walking into a room of strangers and I thought, wow, I I expected to know people here, and I didn't know anybody. And I thought, well, I'm going to go meet some people. To me, and to Dale Carnegie, the first thing we remember is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. So, something big comes to mind when I think that. I think, what do you want to be known for? You know, I know people who are known as being complainers and criticizing. Do you know any people that are known to be criticizers, condemners, complainers? What do you try to do when you see them coming down the hall?
Avoid them.
Try to go the other way. Even cross the street sometimes, so you don't have to listen to another complaint or something critical or gossip or something like that. So, if you're known for being a criticizer, condemner, complainer, and I can see where Dale Carnegie was writing this, stop it. Stop it. Because the next 30 principles are actually what to do instead. And we're only going to talk about the next 8 today. The second one is what? Read it out of the book.
Give honest, sincere appreciation.
All right, so sometimes we think, well, we give appreciation. Do we give honest, sincere appreciation? Well, sometimes people are only doing what they should be doing. Folks, how many people in today's world don't do what they should be doing? You've got people at work that don't do their jobs. Well, when somebody is doing their job, let them know. Give them honest and sincere appreciation. Show them how much you appreciate the fact that they're doing what they should be. Show your kids, tell your kids, show them that appreciation, how important it is for what they're doing and what they do right. What's number 3?
Arouse in the other person an eager want.
Yeah, it's something we're going to deal with a little bit more later on. One thing we do have to find out in order to arouse other people an eager want, is we have to find out what they want. And so part of the questions that we have with people when we come genuinely interested in them, which we'll talk about in just a minute, is we find out what people want. What is their driving force? And that's how we can find out how to ping into it and hook into that want so that we can arouse an eager want for something that we might need to happen. And what's number 4?
Become genuinely interested in other people.
Okay, interest-bearing notes, and so we're now genuinely interested. Now notice that these words are genuine, sincere, honest. All of these words say it's real. I can't just go up to you and say, oh, I'm so interested in what you're saying, and you don't listen to one single word. This has to be from the heart, and the person is going to know it's from the heart. So we're genuinely interested in other people, not just a person, but people. And what's number 5?
Smile.
Cheshire Cat, just smile. What does smile do for you? Makes you what?
Happy, feel good.
Makes you feel good, makes you approachable, makes people feel good about being around you. What's number 6?
Remember the person's name is the best person, the sweetest, most important sound in any language.
All right, so we've got a big name tag. It says just remember the person's name. In fact, Dale Carnegie used to say it was the sweetest and most important word in the English language until a Chinaman walked up to him and said, sir, just as important in China as in the United States. So it now says any language. And what's number 7?
Be a good listener. Encourage others.
All right, so those big headphones coming down there. We got to be listeners. And some of you are going to say, that should be number 1. That should be number 1. Communication happens because we're good listeners. Well, folks, it could be number 1. But guess what? If number 1 wasn't don't criticize, never complain, and you were still criticizing, never complain, and being a good listener wouldn't matter. So these are in the order that they're in for a very good reason. And listening is extremely important. And number 8 would logically follow.
Talk in terms of the other person's
all right, so the big microphone says talk in terms of the other. So if I'm a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves, that's what I also need to talk about, is what they're interested in. Talk in terms of their interest. That's the important thing. And number 9 is
make the other person feel important and do it sincerely.
And so we got the import boxes, and we make those people feel important. So if I am in that room of strangers, I greet them with a smile. I greet them with a handshake. And I start to mention their names because I get their names when I hear it from them. I start to look at things that they want to talk about, and that's what I talk about. I ask them questions about what they're interested in. And before you know it, they have somebody that they can connect with. And that's how that's how friendships start also at the same time. So this is called enhancing relationships. That's what we'll be working on overnight in this particular case. And we'll come back and we'll report how did it go. So today you're going to have an opportunity to set a goal and if you turn to page something or other in the book, you're going to start to look at, there's a map right there. On the map on
116.
page, map is page
116.
116. On page 116, there's a map. You're in the center of that map. Start to put down the names of the people. Who are those people with personal relationships, family relationships? Who's a customer? Who's a client? Who's a supplier? Who's a church member? Start to put some of those people down that you connect with right now. Take 2 minutes to do that. But if you say 2 minutes, you got the time. All right, after that time, start to look at, now move some of those over to the next page. And I'll tell you how I design the next page. I look at some of these people that I'd like to enhance a relationship with. That doesn't mean I got a bad relationship with them now. It means I just like to make it better. I put their names down and I say, what would be a breakthrough with that person? I mentioned to you earlier about my son. A breakthrough with me is, you know, what was it? See if they were listening.
Have that open conversation.
For 30 minutes with laughing and enjoying the conversation. Either one of us getting up and walking away. And so then I look at, what does it say there?
Human relations principles.
Okay. So I look at that and I think, with this person, if I would use my son in this particular case, with this person, what's one of the human relations principles that I often break? I mean, am I not a good listener? Am I talking about me too much? Am I not interested in the things that he's interested in? What is the one that I really need to work on with my son, for example? What's one that I could do better with my wife? What's better that I could do with Brian at work, the guy I work with? What could I do with some of the other people that are in our office? Are there certain principles that I break with those people? And frankly, it's probably listening for me in most cases, become a better listener. Sometimes I'm always on my way to something, and I run out and I don't just focus on the person long enough to become a good listener. So put down some of those people now that you'd like to build a better relationship. And then on the next page, on 1.18, you've got some room for more. And then on page 1.19, you start to put down a commitment. You've only got about 12 hours before you come back and you report on this. So it's got to be either somebody in this room or somebody you're going to see after the class tonight or somebody at home. So you've only got a short period of time where you're going to change something. You're going to use the human relations principle and you're going to make it work. It's going to be sincere. It's going to be from the heart. It's going to be real, but you're going to do it. And folks, if you're known to be a criticizer, academic complainer, I suggest you start with number 1. And then let us know what happened tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more about this later, but jot down some notes right now. What are some things that you would say to these people? What are some things that you'll commit to so that you can get it done tonight? This is the map. This is the commitment. It could be a person at work. In this case, we don't have time for that. It'd be probably somebody at home unless you're going to work right after this class tonight. Why is this important to your goals? What's the breakthrough that you desire? What principle will help? What will I do different? And what's the impact on my vision? So do that on your commitment sheet right now. That's your commitment sheet. And there we are. Okay?
That's great.
Now, yeah, it's something, I don't do it very often. I usually am always in class with somebody else, so I often have other people do it, but it's a standard, it's a pretty good standard, all right?
It's really helpful.
Only took about 15 minutes, yes? Okay, good.